Good evening and welcome to Driver's Ed. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you celebrate, may it be the happiest of seasons. So we're going to wait for people to jump in to tonight's class before we get going. We are going to have content tonight, even though tonight is test time. We're going to find out what you know. So please sign in like we normally do, and then we'll go over a few things. Hope everybody's in the festive Christmas mood now that you're out of school. I imagine this is probably your last class that you have to attend before you're officially on break. So we're almost there. Just about another probably hour and a half. Because once I give you off tonight to the midterm, even though the midterm is lengthy, if you know your material, most people go through it relatively quickly. But don't rush. Because if you get a bad score, Santa will not come and bring you what you want for Christmas. So you'll get coal underneath. You'll get coal in your stocking. So we'll wait for people. We're almost to the point where, wow, I thought we had more signed in here. Where is everybody? I wore my Christmas winter sweater for tonight's class, trying to keep us in the mood. Playing Christmas music. You can't ask for anything more. Jingle bells. Boy, that was quick. No more music. Well, hopefully people will join in, and if they're not here for the reveal of what the password is for the midterm, they're going to have a hard time taking the test. You are supposed to be here for every class. If you can't make a class, you're always supposed to tell me. If you miss a class, you're supposed to still watch the video, answer the questions like you were there. That way I can put you down as present and accounted for. Because the state, okay, they're worse than Santa. They keep a list of who's been naughty and nice when it comes to driving school. So they're going to check paperwork to make sure that I'm making you do what you're supposed to do. Well, here we are for our midterm. I looked over it, 80 questions. A good majority is on the section on signs, signals, pavement markings. I know you're going to be given 30 signs. We'll see. And I want you to take this test with no help from your notes, no help from your textbook or the state manual. This is what you know. This is going to give me an idea of what you have retained and what you're going to need some more help on. If you happen to get a bad score, it is not the end of the world, okay? It should be an indicator of where you're lacking on retaining information, and we can restudy and we can focus on that near the end of the program. Take your time. Like I said, most people take probably about 30 minutes. We're going to probably, we're going to go over parking tonight. And once we're done with that, then I'll release you. You can go to the remote Facebook page. I've already posted it. I have not revealed what the password is, so you have to stay. This is the only way that you're going to be able to get it, is here online. And I'm going to reveal that once we're done the section on parking. Let's get out of me talking and let's get right into the parking PowerPoint. You will be tested on your driving test on parking. So you better be well-versed and ready to do whatever they throw your way. Now, I would recommend you talking to your friends that have gone for their license probably within the last 6 months and get a basic idea of what they're going to make you do. They're pretty much set to about 3 routes. A lot of you ask me, Mr. Toll, when you take us out, do you have certain places that you take all of us? Yes. I have routes that are pre-defined on length, time, distance, and when we get to a parking lot or when we do lane changes, I basically know within 5 or 10 minutes how long it's going to take us to do a certain number, and I'm looking for certain things to make sure that you're ready to move on to the next driving technique that we have to learn. And I hope that you understand is that every time that we go out, we do want to focus on something a little bit different than what we had done before. Now, sometimes we're going to do a review or we're going to repeat things. We just happen to do, traffic lights every time that we go out. We're going to be doing lane changes a lot because we have to get through Durham or get through Dover. So even though there is a intersection a lesson or there's a lane change lesson, we're going to still do stuff like that. And with parking, case in point, each time that we go out, the main objective is to go out and do a number of parking maneuvers to get you to the point where if someone asked you to parallel park, if someone asked you to angle park, that you're going to hopefully remember the things that I've laid out for you to be successful in getting into your parking spot. I kind of look at parking like being in the Olympics. If you ever watch the Olympics and gymnastics, that they have this routine and it's timed, and then all of a sudden it gets right to the last 5 or 10 seconds, and they do like a dismount, or they do like a triple, one of the more difficult technical maneuvers that they have to do, and they just hit their landing and they go, they just made it, the whole performance is perfect right down to the very end. You don't want to get to your driving test and do so well with everything and just cough up a bad parking spot at the end of your test, because it's going to leave a sour taste in their mouth as they grade you whether you should get your license or not. So you have to look at parking on your driver's test. I've got a one-shot deal. They may give you a second try if you're just a little bit off, but I'll tell you, if you botch it big time, that could be enough to end the driving test right there. So you're really so close, you're actually maybe even back in the parking lot at the testing site, and then all of a sudden, man, you forgot some of these steps and you just couldn't get in the parking spot well. And they're going to say, okay, we're going to have you come back in 10 days and get retested. So with parking, the thing that I want you to remember, and I want you to take down some notes, is that if you take your time and if you set it up, I think the key to most people parking well is that they are going slow and they're setting it up to be successful. If you rush or you try to cut corners, come in a little bit earlier than you should, I will almost guarantee it's not going to be a good parking maneuver. When I have you come back to the school, and if we haven't worked on perpendicular parking, I may give you a few hints on what you should be doing to get into the parking spot back close to where your parents are picking you up. But a lot of times I just want to see what you have for natural ability and talent to get into a parking spot. Now, the thing to remember about parking is that the lines are there to guide you. Not all parking lots are the same, meaning that the width of the parking spots can be quite large or they can be quite narrow. So you have to kind of eyeball it as you do these reference points and set it up to get into your parking spot and learn how to adapt. Now, I appreciate that you took driver's ed with me, and I know that some of you have older brothers or sisters and they've gone other places. If you were to talk to them, I am almost positive that they were probably taught somewhat different than the way that I teach parking. You need to remember there is no right way or wrong way, per se, to get into a parking spot. Now, where it does matter is it legal to park there? So getting into a parking spot is a technique, and everybody has a different way of doing techniques. Just like if you were to, learn piano. One piano teacher is going to stress, scales. Another one's going to be stressing chords or rhythm or something like that. Everybody's approaching it a little bit different. It's not so much right or wrong. It's just different. So I want you to take everything that I tell you tonight with a grain of salt. So if your parents are telling you to do one thing, listen to your parents. When you're with me, listen to me. And when you finally get out on your own and there's nobody in the car, you may adapt and do a little bit of what I say and a little bit of what your parents do. Or you may come up with your own way of approaching and doing things. So that's what we're going to try to do tonight, is to kind of set into place some things to make you more successful with your parking. I do want you to write this down. There are 3 terms here. Now, I said technique is different, but lawfully parking is really important. So the first thing you need to understand, can I legally park here? Is there any restrictions where if I leave my vehicle and I come back, I want to find it here? I don't want to have my car towed. So I want you to write down stopping, standing, and parking. We all understand what parking is. We see the lines. We're in a parking lot. We've pulled in. We put our car in park. We've turned it off. We've left our vehicle. We have parked the car. Now, standing and stopping, I would almost bet none of you have ever thought about this. But when you take a look in front of a lot of buildings, they will have these terms trying to regulate what you do. So standing means you can stop to let people out of the car or pick someone up who's already there, but no waiting for someone or loading or unloading. So that's standing. Remember, it's people only. No stopping is the most restrictive. You can't stop at the curb like at an airport for any reason. What they're trying to do is allow taxis, allow buses, but in certain areas, cars cannot. No stopping. Now, in some parts of an airport, you may get to standing because we just said it's to pick up someone that's waiting, or to load something, or to unload something. And a lot of times, delivery people will be doing standing. Okay, so we want to keep our roadways, highways open. We don't want to block areas for any long period of time. We want a good flow of traffic. And you're going to remember, if it's a white sign, and it's a law. So a white with red is telling us not to do something with parking. If it's white with black, it may be telling us that we can do it. Or white with green may giving us time frames, like days of the week or time frames. So here's a case where you have your sign. Now, actually in Durham, we have a restrictive parking lot near Hannaford, near the bakery, that if you leave your vehicle and you do not go into a place of business from that plaza, they will tow your vehicle here in Durham, or they'll put a boot. Now, what a boot is, it restricts you from moving your vehicle. So they can't tow the vehicle. They don't have enough tow trucks, or a tow truck is busy doing something else. They'll just put a boot on your vehicle. In Durham, there's a guy on a golf cart that has a couple contraptions, a couple boots that they're orange, and he'll put it around your tire, and you can't drive away. You'll ruin your car if you try to. And I believe it's between like $80 to $110, I think, being towed or getting a boot on your vehicle in Durham. So be very careful about leaving your vehicle where it shouldn't. And in this article, they say 90,000 vehicles get towed in Boston. Can you imagine 90,000? And to get your vehicle back in Boston, it's 131. Now, I'm sure it's a little bit higher. I've been using this for a while. Look, it's from December of 2011, this article. What happens when you park someplace you're not supposed to, like near a fire hydrant? They'll just blow out your windows and put the hose right through. And by the way, they do not have to fix your windows, pay for your windows. Okay, this car thought it was a parking spot, forgot to look off to the side, probably didn't see the fire hydrant. Okay, he's going to be quite surprised when he comes out. Now, a lot of people say, well, the lines are there, but wonder if I'm really too close to one line. Well, you're going to make it hard for other people to park. And the whole goal of parking is for you to get in and out of your vehicle. It's one thing you can get your car in, and notice here, they're not touching. But is there a chance that either of those people are going to get out of their car? No. Now, this was done on purpose. This was done at a car wash, and they put this little video. I don't have the video to play, but I wanted to show you the snapshot. So what your main objective is to be able to open up your door and not ding the other vehicle, put paint on the other vehicle. You want to be able to open up your door, and they should be able to open up theirs. So here are some key points. I do need to know this, maybe for the final, hint, hint. Not the midterm, but I think the final. Move as far away from traffic as possible. You should always be about a foot away from the curb. By being really super close to the curb, like a foot or less, when you open up the driver's side door, you'll be able to get out and really not interfere with traffic. If you're right on the white parking line in like a downtown area and you open up your door, there's a good chance if you don't check traffic in your mirror over your shoulder when you open up your door, someone coming by could actually take your door right off your vehicle. Just rip it right off. All right? So always check your mirror. Okay, look over your shoulder. And by the way, in Durham, we're going to talk about this probably last week, there was a situation where someone opened up their door and there was a bike coming. The bike hit the door. The bicycle rider went over the door, hit his head on the pavement, and he was killed instantly. So we had a bicycle death in Durham because of a car door. Okay, it does happen. It's best to get out on the right side of the vehicle, so avoid traffic if you can. Lock your door. Use the parking brake if it's going up or down a hill. That will keep the car from possibly rolling, especially if you have manual transmission. And check traffic. I'm not going to go over that. Parking by the side of the road. You must be off the paved or main travel portion of the road, or your car will be towed. If it's not possible to pull off the road and you can't be completely seen, make sure that people can see you at least by 200 feet each direction. So that's a little bit less than a football field. And I know most of you probably don't play sports, so when I use that analogy, people are going, okay, football field. Good. I have no clue what that looks like. 2 or 3 telephone poles. Okay, write that down. Your car you should be seen, or you can see up the road 2 or 3 telephone poles around a corner, over a hill. Parking lights indicate that you are in control of what is happening in your vehicle. Emergency lights or your parking or your flashers, hazard lights, indicate you need help. So write that. Parking lights mean that you're on the side of the road, you've got control of your vehicle, meaning that you're maybe checking a text, you're picking something on the floor that might have fallen. But your flashers, your emergency flashers, or your hazard lights, as they're sometimes called, will cause people to pull up behind you and see if you need help. That is the universal symbol on a car that I got trouble. And police officers are supposed to. They're trained that if a car is in need of help, they're supposed to pull over and find out, okay, do you need me to call a tow truck? Do you need to, call a parent if you don't have a phone or something? So police cars will pull in behind you, so don't be spooked. Have your vehicle well off the road. We talked about leave a note indicating if you leave the vehicle when you're going to come back for it. Leave your phone number. And I would always call the local police and just say, hey, I ran out of gas. My car's on the side of the road. Please don't tow it. I'll be back for it in the next couple hours. They'll put a sticker, a tag on your vehicle indicating that it's been there for a while. And if you don't pick it up, I forgot it. I think it's at least 24 hours. It could be a little bit more. But if you don't pick it up within a certain period of time, they will tow it. And it's at your expense. You're going to have to pay to get it back. Parking is not allowed in these situations. You can't double park. That means pulling up side by side of a car that's already parked. Now, the only person that can do that are like delivery trucks, like UPS, Amazon, Pepsi. Some of the beer trucks in downtown Durham will pull right up next to parked cars, and they'll stay there. I believe they're up to about 5 or 10 minutes when they can stay, double park. Can't park on a sidewalk, in an intersection, on a crosswalk, on a bridge. These are all common sense things. In a tunnel, any way that you're blocking traffic, on any street where there's not clearance for other vehicles to get by, in front of a vehicle. So just be somewhat familiar with these. Now, the next couple slides deal with footage questions. So make sure that you know these. Okay, can't park it. I showed you a picture. Can't park within 15 feet of a fire hydrant. 20 feet of a crosswalk. Because people stepping out and walking in front of your vehicle, you've got to give cars that are coming down the roadway an angle to pick you up and to see you. Most people that are crossing a street will get out on a crosswalk, walk in front of the parked car, in front of the crosswalk, just to the edge and kind of lean forward to see if they see an opening in traffic or try to make traffic stop. 30 feet of a stop sign, yield sign, traffic control. Now, here's a tricky one. 20 feet on the fire station entrance, 75 on the opposite. Now, the reason why it's not 20/20, because a fire truck is pretty long. So they're going to take a wide turn, okay, out into the roadway to get to where they're going. So on the opposite side, they need that extra space. But on the same side, 20 feet, you're going to be able to see the fire trucks coming out from the station, and you're going to be able to stop where you're supposed to. We kind of talked about this with railroad, 50 feet on the nearest rail or railroad crossing. Handicapped parking, we know, is going to be that blue sign. There is a fine, $250, if you park in those crossed hatch areas, which are off to the side. I'm not going to test you on the fine schedule, so you don't have to remember these numbers. Just know that you shouldn't be parking in these areas unless you've got a designated placard that you can hang from your rearview mirror, or something that you could put on your instrument panel indicating that you've got someone in the car that has a handicap and they can't walk very far, so you've got to be close to the building. So try not to stop or park in those yellow, white, diagonal striped lines pretty close to a handicap spot. Now, wonder if you're in a parking lot and you see someone doing something wrong. Now, I know most of you are going to say, but Mr. Toll, I'm going to be, I'm not a person that tattles on other people. I'm not going to be a snitch. I can understand that, and there's a part of me that can respect that. But do you have any respect for the person that has a heart condition or has cancer, and you're making them park halfway away from the building, and they've got to struggle physically just to get into the building? Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair. I'd rather be a snitch. And by the way, you can send the picture. You could just do all this, and I don't think they're going to ever know it was you that did it. I mean, you don't know these people. Okay, so do the right thing. And I would say the right thing is to report them. Let's talk about backing. Usually around your second or third time out with me, I will take you to like Jackson Landing or someplace in Dover where we practice backing to the right and to the left. It's really important to understand that when it's two-way traffic, your car should be in your lane completely straight, not interfering with other cars. So I'm going to kind of break down step by step what we've already covered. And I think there's only a few of you. I think there's only 3 of you that I haven't driven with. The rest of you I've driven with, and I believe that almost all of you that I have driven with have done this. So I'm going to show you, first, I'm going to tell you how you should do it. And then I'm going to show you a video that I've made. Now, I'm still trying to make a lot of my own videos, not getting things from the internet. So I've done one with backing. I've done a video on perpendicular parking, and I've done a video on parallel parking. So those we will see. So first thing I want you to write down, and remember, you can always review this, come back if I go too fast. And I may even print it out on a piece of paper so you would always have it. And if for any reason you aren't quite sure how to do something, 4 months from now, just text me. Go, hey, Mr. Toll, remember me? Can you help me out with parallel parking? I can't remember one of the steps. Sure, I'll help you out. I'll tell you, how to do it again. So first thing, place your car in a place to be successful. So that means you want equal space on both sides. 3 feet on one side, 3 feet on the other. Now, when they test you and they say back to the right, they want your back end to go to the right. So you need to know your left from your right. If you don't know your left from your right, you're going to have a difficult time on your driver's test. Use your mirrors. Look over your shoulder. Anything to guide you. Yes, you can use the backup camera. But here in bold type, if there's anything that I want you to remember, it's this part right here. Do not go one fluid motion out into a roadway. You should always stop, bring your back bumper to the edge of the driveway, check for traffic, and then move out into the roadway. One fluid motion will not do you well on a driver's test. They want to know that you are safe before you are doing something. So even if you really know, because it's a dead-end street, there's no cars coming, still got to do it. And you want to end in the correct lane. So let's take a look at the video that I did with backing. So I'm going to talk over this. So I don't have equal size on both sides. Like I said, you should have, is because there was a car parked next to me. But we are going to bring it right down to the edge. So there, notice the car stopped. There was a check on both sides, and now I'm in the correct lane. Notice I'm not in the middle. So now I'm going to go back in, and we're going to do it to the left. Still go down to the edge. Watch the tires. We'll stop. Hesitation. Check, check. Looking over shoulder, and now bring your car over to the correct side of the roadway. Make sure you get your car straight, wheel straight. Now this is what a lot of people do. They do it wrong. They end in the middle. Notice now there's no hesitation. Didn't stop at the edge. Ending in the middle, taking up a little bit of both lanes, and then he's fixing it, or I'm fixing it, in drive. That's not what you want to do. So here it is again, broken down step by step. Okay, people are having problems with the video. I'm not quite sure why. There's a problem. So you may have to kind of go back at some point to see it. And maybe just the streaming ability. Maybe I've got too many devices on around me. There's no really anybody else here in the house, but the TV's on in the other room though. And we do use YouTube. We don't use cable. Let's talk about angle parking. Hopefully the other videos won't be bad, but please let me know. I appreciate that you did. Angle parking is the easiest of all parking. It's usually found in a downtown area, fast food restaurants, any place where you want traffic to go in one direction. You will always have traffic coming from one direction and will not be coming towards you. Now, angle parking is relatively easy in either direction. So I wouldn't say one side is more difficult than the other. They're just about the same. But I'm going to say because you're on the left side of the vehicle, it is going to be slightly easier to look out your window and kind of see yourself coming in to the parking spot with the left parking line coming in just below your side mirror. So when you approach, and like I said, take your time, and the approach is going to set this up to be successful. Go from the middle or slightly opposite of where you're parking. So if you're parking to the left, stay middle or over to the right. If you're parking to the right, stay middle, go over to the left. When your side mirror, whether it be left or right, is even with the first line of your parking spot, that is usually when you start turning to go into your parking spot. You can usually see the entire parking spot. Once you're halfway in, straighten up your wheels, work on positioning, making sure that you're straight. And when you back out of your parking space, this is a must. When you're backing out of your parking spot, you should always check traffic, go halfway out, and make sure that your front bumper is going to clear the car that you're next to. So if you're turning left, your front right corner is going to get really, really close to the car to the right of you. If you're parking to the right, it's your front left corner that's going to get really close to the car that's to the left of you. So if you have to do angle parking for your driver's test, consider yourself lucky. It is the easiest type of parking to do. Now, just the opposite, what is the most difficult? Everybody says parallel. I don't think so. I think once you learn to do parallel well, it's relatively simple. I think to do perpendicular, more people aren't straight or they get too close with perpendicular. So let's kind of break down perpendicular. First thing, it's two-way traffic, not like one-way traffic with angle parking. I find it easier to park to the left than to park to the right. Be picky on the spots that you take. All right, so look around. Who am I going to be parking next to? Because once you pull in, you're going to have to pull out. So parking next to a large truck where you can't see very well may not be your best choice. So when do you start turning? You start turning when your bumper is even with the first parking light line. And I've got a video. Hopefully it's going to work for most of you. In this video, I really go into great detail about how to park left and right and some of the problems. So work on positioning. I'm going to go through this real quick. Back out halfway, check traffic, watch the opposite front end of where you're backing. And I would say backing left is easier than backing to the right. And watch out for other people that could be coming up behind you. So let's see if my perpendicular parking video works. And this was probably the first big video that I did. This was before the pandemic, and I had some camera equipment that I wanted to try out. So I tried to put a pretty good parking video. So here's my perpendicular one.
Hi, I'm Kevin Toll with Peace, Love, and Safe Driving. Welcome to today's episode about perpendicular parking. We're going to talk about perpendicular parking to the left and perpendicular parking to the right and what makes it so difficult. We'll give you a few easy tips to solve those problems. One of the problems with perpendicular parking, it's the approach. Most people don't understand or they forget that it's two-way traffic. So you should always be in the correct lane as you approach. If you try to cheat to go into a parking spot early, you're bound to cut off your lines and your angles. When parking to the left, you should be as far as you possibly can at the end of the painted lines of the parking spots that are next to you. You should look out your side window and line up your side. You should line up your shoulder with one of the parking lines. If you take a look out the window from the driver's seat, your shoulder will be lined up with a parking line prior to the parking spot that you're going to be taking. The front bumper is now even with the first line of the parking spot you'll be parking in. Put on your signal, lightly let go of the brake, and gradually turn the wheel to the left. You still should be able to see the left parking light underneath your side mirror as you start to approach into your parking spot. Once you are straight, straighten up your wheel and go to the end of your parking spot. As you approach into your parking spot, use the lines of the parking spot in front of you to help center yourself in your parking spot, making sure that you do not go through the end line into the parking spot in front of you. Here's a car that is going in the middle of the traveling lane, starting to turn the wheel before the front bumper gets to the first line. So you're coming at an angle. You're probably cutting off a little bit of the left line and you're turning extremely sharp to get into your parking spot. Now you're in your parking spot, you're parallel to your lines, but if there were parked cars, you would have a problem. You're approaching the same parking spot, but we're going beyond the shoulder line, beyond the bumper with the first line. Now we're going to go far over into the right side of a parking spot, backing into the left spot, and now you're in your parking spot. Very close to the right side of the line of your parking spot. Plenty of room off to the left. It doesn't look that bad from the outside, but if there was a car to the right of us, we would have hit it. So let's just kind of go back and do each of those maneuvers and set up cones with a piece of wood and see if we would have hit cars. Okay, what we've done is we've set up some safety cones with a thin piece of wood to simulate where a side of a vehicle would be. We're basically about a foot off the line on either side. One of the problems with a vehicle, it does give you a reference as you pull in. Now we're going to lose these cones as we go into our parking spot, and that's very common for a new driver. They lose sight of what is to the left or the right of the vehicle because they're focused so much onto the front part of the car. So let's get in the car and take a look at not having good angles coming into your parking spot. I'm approaching from the middle of the traveling lane. I'm going to start my turn a little bit early. This is a common problem for most people. They try to get in at the very top of the white line, and then they find that they're going to hit the car to the right, so they turn real sharp to the left. Now you notice that we didn't hit the cones, but we are on the line to the left of our parking spot. Never want to hit a car. Approach from the middle again. This time we're going to go a little bit beyond the shoulder line and the bumper with the first line of your parking spot. So this is going to be a late turn into a parking spot. So here we are turning very, very lately. As you see, hitting the cone, hitting the wood. It would have been a car. If you have a new driver, you don't have a safety brake where you could stop the car. You've just had your first crash. Let's talk about one of the most difficult things of perpendicular parking. Maybe not so much getting in, but a lot of people forget that they've got to get out of their parking spot. And a lot of times when you're going to be backing to the right, now you can back to the left or to the right out of a perpendicular parking spot, but here's a person that only looks to the right, doesn't look to the left, and starts turning the wheel way too early. Notice, hits the piece of wood. That would be scraping up on the side of a car. You now have another crash because you don't focus your attention to the front of the vehicle. Let's go back in and do it the right way. Okay, let's talk about how to get out of a parking spot correctly and safely. You have a choice. You can back to the left or you could back to the right out of a perpendicular parking spot, so it doesn't matter which way that you go. I prefer always backing to the left because it's going to be a wider turn. It's not going to be quite as sharp as the one to the right. But the most important thing to remember about backing out of a perpendicular parking spot is to have your rear view mirror and your side view mirrors adjusted, because even though you're focusing your attention to the right or to the left, what could be coming down the traveling lane, you got to remember there are parked cars behind you in a busy parking lot. And if they're backing out at the same time that you're backing out, and they're not looking at you and you're not looking at them, you are now on a crash course and you're going to hit each other. So my recommendation for backing out of any parking spot is to go out left, right check, go out 6 inches, stop, look again, go out a little bit further, check, check. When you see that no one's coming and you're halfway out would bring your body to the end of the painted parking lines on either side. No one's backing out of a parking spot. No traffic is coming down in either direction. You now can perform your maneuver to the left. So we're going to turn sharp to the left, and that is going to bring us way over onto the left side of the parking lot. Then we can straighten up. You may not be able to get fully straight, but at least you're not going to be hitting a car backing out of a parking spot. Let's take a look at what it would look like if you were to back out from the right. So let's go back into the parking spot. We line up our shoulder with the line prior to the parking spot that we want. We check our rear view mirror, no traffic's coming towards us. We start our turn, we do hand over hand for a quicker, smoother turn. We're coming into our parking spot, we're almost completely straight. We use the lines in front of us. We straighten up our wheel. We go the rest of the way in, trying to get equal space on both sides. So let's back to the right. So putting on your signal, looking both directions, going out 6 inches or so, checking, going out a little bit further, because if there was a car coming, they'd see your backup lights and they would stop to let you out. Now we're at the very end of the painted lines to the right and to the left of us. We are now going to gradually turn to the right till we cleared the car to the left, and now we turn the rest of the way. But notice you're not going to be able to get straight because you have to back out halfway. This is when you put it in drive, you straighten up your car, and you get over into the correct side of your traveling lane. Now for the most difficult way to perpendicular park is to the right. The reason being is traffic is supposed to stay over to the right. But in order to get into that parking spot between the cones, I have to bring my vehicle all the way over as far as I can to the end of the painted lines to the left of me. I am still going to line up my shoulder with the line of the parking spot prior to the parking spot that I want. I put on my signal, and now I start my turn. Hand over hand. Notice I'm not going to hit the cone to the left, which is very common. I wait till I'm straight, and I straighten up my wheel. I approach my parking spot to the furthest point to the left. I line up my shoulder with the line prior to my parking spot. I hesitate. I let go of the brake. I go hand over hand. Watch that I don't hit the cone with the wood. That would be a car. I straighten up my wheel. And now I'm perfectly centered in my parking spot.
So perpendicular parking, if you set up the approach like I did, and I know I kind of really broke it down and made it probably a little bit longer than it had to be, but I wanted this video is for people that really hadn't practiced it before and really wanted to see step by step and a slow process of getting into a parking spot. My parallel parking video is much quicker than this, a little bit more contemporary, but perpendicular probably will be on your driving test because it's the most common type of parking that you find in parking lots. Now, the most dreaded type of parking is parallel parking, and the reason why is people really have never learned about angles and how that applies to getting in a spot between two cars and a curb. So people usually don't set it up correctly. They go a little faster than what they can maneuver their vehicle, and they either hit the curb or they hit the car behind them. Very rarely do you hit the car in front. Okay, it's going to be the car behind you. Let me show you a person here that isn't parallel parking very well. Here's a bad parallel parker. So right now they started way too far in the middle of the spot. And these people are filming this. They're in their car. That's way too wide of an angle. There's just no way it's going to work.
Are you serious? I hope she's trying to turn around now.
Now you would think,
No, she's not. No, she's going to hit the truck.
I don't know if you can hear it, but he just said, you know, she just hit my car.
She's dumb, dude.
Now most people would be so embarrassed that they hit a car. No, she's waving people on.
Did you feel that?
Yeah.
She hit us.
She's going to go back out and she's going to try it again, and she's not going to be successful again.
Fucking cars all
So she really doesn't know what she's doing. She's just putting it now in reverse, and
hits us again.
the angle's all wrong.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
See, now they're going to get out of the car. I don't think it's going to be so much road rage as it is, hey, you just hit my car. See, that should never happen. So with parallel parking, it's all in the approach. And there are many different ways of doing it. So what you need to do is you need to stop in front of the spot you want to go into. And what I tell people to do is to approach about 2 feet away from the vehicle that's in front of your parking spot and line up your mirror with their mirror. If you're the same size vehicle, go mirror to mirror. If it's a large truck, then maybe I might do the back door handle. But that's going to allow me to get the angle that I need to get into my parking spot. Now, what I want you to write down in your notes, the way that I teach parallel parking, and I think Haley's the only one in class that's done parallel parking with me. She did a good job. She really did a super good job. It's really not that hard. If you can remember 3 steps, right, straight, left, right, straight, left, you're going to be able to get into your parking spot. So what you're trying to do is when you go mirror to mirror, turn the wheel sharp to the right, create a 45-degree angle. Now you're going to have your side mirror tip down at this point to guide you into your parking spot. And what you want to do is back up straight now until you're about a foot from the curb. Once you're a foot from the curb, then you could do your last turn of the wheel, which would be sharp to the left. And if you have to make some minor adjustments going up and back, you can basically do it. Now, I'll tell you, this video is not as long as the perpendicular one. So this one I did with parallel. So here's my parallel video. Let's take a look today at one of the hardest driving maneuvers, parallel parking. Three easy steps to parallel parking: right, straight, and left. What's so hard about parallel parking? With a little bit of practice, anybody can do it. So that's the way that I teach parallel parking. And like I said, your parents may do it in 2 steps where they go all the way to the right and then all the way to the left. It's just a different way of doing it. So you've got to find what works for you and then go from there. Now the last type of parking is pull pass and back into a perpendicular spot. So this is 90-degree parking, but we're doing it in reverse. So what you need to do, and I don't have a video for this one, is approach your spot that you want to back into about 5 feet from the end of the parking lines. So you don't want to get really, really close. You want to stay more towards the middle of the traveling lane. And you want to basically go up 3 parking spots from the spot that you want to go backwards into. use your right turn signal. Now, this is also like with parallel parking. Anytime that you're in reverse in parking, you should have your side mirror down. So have your right side mirror down, use your right signal, and then you're basically going to just let go of your brake pedal as you go a little bit back from that third parking spot line, and you're going to start turning your wheel sharp to the right. So once you turn your wheel sharp to the right and you look in your side mirror, you're going to be coming into that parking spot that you want. So as you're coming into that parking spot that you want, you're going to use both side mirrors to give you some idea how parallel you are with the lines on either side. Once you're halfway into your parking spot, you're going to straighten your wheel, and then you're going to continue in the rest of the way. This type of parking is not that hard if you set it up correctly. I think driving in is probably harder than backing in. And once you get the backing in, and there's another way to do it, I don't have it step by step here. This is at a 90-degree angle. You can actually back into a parking spot at a 45-degree angle, but I just don't have it written here. If you want to learn how to do it, just remind me, and I'll teach you when we're on that lesson in the parking lot. But they do this type of parking at the testing site for your driver's license. So be ready for anything that they can throw your way. So I know that I kind of went through everything relatively quick, and I wish that I would have had a few more videos with angle and backing into perpendicular, but I haven't had time to hone my video skills and editing skills to get everything done. There is a section in the manual. You can read through it. They do it a slightly different than what I do. So you've got to find one that works for you. So that brings us to the midterm. So we are now officially halfway through. Now, let's just talk a little bit about next week. Remember, class is on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Please text me and let me know when you would like to drive. I've already scheduled some of you for Monday and Tuesday, but I'll drive Monday through Thursday. I'm going to take Friday off, and then I'll probably drive Saturday. And then we'll schedule for Monday, and then we go back to our original class schedule. So we've got 2 more weeks left of driver's ed, and then we're going to be done. So let me put down okay, write this down. This is your password to get into the link, if I can find it. Snowflake. Snowflake is our password for tonight to get into the midterm. It is on your remote Facebook page. So you can do that. If you need me to text you a link to it, I can do that a little bit later tonight. So I can do that. And let me just put this in here. That's my house. So from my house to your house, Merry Christmas. I hope that you have a happy holiday with family and some friends. Just make sure that you've got the mask and social distancing. But it is Christmas, and I think Christmas is all about people. It's not so much about what you get, but the memories that you make. So have a great couple days off. I wish you the best on your test. Don't get all worked up because it's not the end of the world. So good luck on the test, and that is it for tonight. So if you need anything from me, I'll be on my phone, but I am going to end this tonight, and you are all set